Hello, welcome to Raymond Castile's Basement of Horror. Today we're going to look at the new Mego monster figures. This is an unboxing video. Do you like unboxing videos? I hope you do, because that's what you're watching. This is not the start of the second season. As we did a few weeks ago, we had an unboxing video for the John Ken Mortensen Sophie figures from Unbox Industries. And now we have another unboxing video, and we might have maybe one more unboxing video this summer, and perhaps maybe a field trip kind of a video. I'm working on that, where we'll go outside this basement and I'll take you on a little trip somewhere. And then closer to Halloween, or maybe a little sooner than that, maybe late August, September, we'll start the proper second season of Basement of Horror. I hope you're excited about that. Are you excited? I hope so. So let's get started here. This is a box I received recently. Now I know, I think there might be, as of this recording, 2 other YouTube videos, like unboxing type videos, talking about the new Mego monsters. So I'm pretty up to date with this. By the time this is uploaded to YouTube, I'm sure there'll be a few more. But still, this is pretty current stuff. I think we're really on top of things. We're not lagging behind, talking about something from 6 months ago. We're up to the minute, on top of what's going on, I hope. Okay, so I received this box, and I desperately hope that inside this box we will find Mego monsters, because it will be very embarrassing if I open it and there are no Mego monsters in here. Usually with an unboxing video, I open it first and take a little peek just to make sure that what I think is in there is actually in there. Not this time. This is still sealed as it was when I received it from the US Postal Service. So I don't know, I might open it and maybe I'll pull out a Chucky doll. I don't know, maybe a Jack-in-the-Box will come up and go boing. I don't know. I hope not. I hope there's Mego monsters in this thing. Or else I don't know what I'm going to do with this episode. If I open it up and, I don't know, maybe a hand reaches out and grabs my throat. I'm not sure. But that would be kind of that would actually be a cooler video if that happened. So maybe I should hope and pray that a hand reaches out and strangles me. And you see, I was about to cut my throat. That would be a good video as well. That would be a very entertaining video. We'd get lots of clicks then. But I'd be dead, so how would I upload it? I'd find a way. My trusty knife. It's not really that sharp, actually. My trusty box cutter. Okay. So let's get this lethal weapon out of here so we don't hurt ourselves. There we go. All right. Another box. A box inside a box. How exciting. Aren't you glad you're not watching HBO or AMC? This is so much more interesting. All right, so now we have this little box. We're going to open this and see. That doesn't look like, well, we're on the right track here, because we can see right here that the box says Mego Horror Assortment. So we're on the right track. Hopefully what we think is in this box will actually be in this box. No Chucky doll, no Jack-in-the-Box, no arm trying to grab my neck. Okay. As I said, we're up to the minute. This is like breaking news. These figures just came out. We are so current at Basement of Horror. We are bringing you the very latest in monster toy developments. All right, so the very first thing I see, a little hand peeking out, that looks like Nosferatu. Yay! Thank goodness. It is. It's Nosferatu. Here we are. It is, in fact, Nosferatu. All right. Well, he's cute. This is the glow-in-the-dark version. The original version did not glow in the dark. This one does. It has glow-in-the-dark head and hands. I don't know if the body glows in the dark or not. I see that they've changed the color scheme on the costume. It's black on gray instead of gray on black like it was on the first version. And the artwork is very different. The old one had a still from the original silent movie, but it was kind of doctored and it looked a little silly. I wish they just left it the way it was and used the original still. This one has some artwork, his face, and I think that looks kind of like Klaus Kinski from the Werner Herzog Nosferatu. That face looks kind of like Kinski's face, if you ask me. On the back of the card is an illustration that looks like a famous still from the F.W. Murnau silent Nosferatu. I thought it was the actual still, but it's not. It's not a photograph. It's an illustration that looks like the still. I'm not going to get out each of the earlier wave and compare them side by side because then this video would just take too long. And I'm trying to cut down on the length of these videos a bit. I know some people say they really like the long videos, but I wonder if people that I'm not hearing from would really rather have short videos. If you like shorter videos, let me know. Let me know in the comments, because I have had comments from people who really like the long video, and they appreciate that I take my time and make these long format videos. They like watching them in the morning, like on Saturday morning. I usually upload these on Saturday morning. You know, they make some coffee, make breakfast, and they have my little video going, and that's a nice little tradition. I'm glad people are doing that. But maybe some people would rather have like a 20 or 30 minute video. I don't know. I kind of like longer videos, but I'm going to try to make this shorter if I can. So, okay, so I don't know if this entire body glows in the dark or just the head and hands. I think the entire body does, but I'm not sure. It's a really nice representation of the character, as we covered last time. They did a really nice job sculpting him. I think he looks a little better this time around. I mean, it's the same sculpt, but the way that he's painted with the black, the glow in the dark, and the choice of color for his eyes. He's got yellow eyes, and he's got black eyebrows and black hair. It just looks, something was more gothic about it, even though the previous one was also sort of a silver screen kind of black and white take on the character. And I like this one. This one seems more gothic. It hits me with more drama. It seems it's more striking at first glance. I think I like this version more than the previous one. And of course, I always like glow-in-the-dark figures. Here's Nosferatu glowing in the dark. This is what he looks like. I hope it's not too scary. If it frightens you, just close your eyes. So the first one out of the box is a big success, I think. I love Nosferatu, and I like the previous one. I like this one. I think this is a slight improvement. The glow-in-the-dark color scheme, I think, looks better. And I like the card art even more, even though it's a little, still kind of cartoony. Just that last card art I didn't like. It just, the way they messed with his face and they made him look kind of goofy. This one's better. And it's interesting that it does appear to me that they chose the Werner Herzog remake as the basis of this artwork. Very interesting. Before we go on to the rest of them, let's talk a little bit about what this is. So Mego was a famous 8-inch action figure company. I mean, they did all kinds of other action figures, but their claim to fame was the 8-inch format. And they made a bunch of superheroes and TV characters and movie characters in the 1970s into the early 80s. And then they went out of business. So they're one of the most legendary toy companies ever. They were very important to my childhood, along with companies like A-High. I know Marty Abrams doesn't like the mention of Azraq Hamway, but I love Azraq Hamway International. I love their toys. I mean, the people who ran it, maybe they weren't so hot, I don't know. Actually, I could go off on a big tangent here, because I did try to talk to the two guys who ran Azraq Hamway International. I did try to interview them and talk to them on the phone several years ago, and they were not nice to me. So okay, Marty's right, they're not nice. But I love their toys. So Mego was gone for 40 years, and now it's back with the same guy, Marty Abrams, running the show. They reintroduced the brand last fall with a line of figures at Target stores. And I didn't really like that line they had at Target stores. I thought it had a lot of goofy characters like Married with Children and, oh gosh, I don't know, just Happy Days and oh, Cheers, oh brother. I don't know whose idea all that was, but I was not very excited. But there were some monsters. There was a Dracula, which was superb, Bela Lugosi Dracula, and an unlicensed Frankenstein, and a Wolfman that was licensed through Loncini Jr.'s estate, but was based on a Mexican film called Face of the Screaming Werewolf. It wasn't based on the Universal Wolfman. So that was their way of kind of getting around the Universal license through the Cheney estate, because he had been in this Mexican film where he had played basically the Wolfman, but it wasn't officially the Wolfman. So that was interesting, and I bought those 3 figures, and I like them. And I didn't know what the future held. And then there was another wave in early 2019, a wave of monsters, other characters too, but for my interest, a wave of monster toys. And we went over that in an unboxing video several weeks ago. And now we have what is being called, people are calling it different things, the international wave or the intermediate wave. I'm not sure what exactly is going on with this wave, but apparently it's supposed to fill European toy orders. So European retailers or distributors who order toys, to fill their orders, Mego, the current Mego, came up with this intermediate wave of horror toys. I don't get it. I'm sure everyone watching understands, and I'm the only one who doesn't. I don't get it. So they already had monster toys. Why not just send those to meet those orders? I don't understand. So what this wave represents is a series of variations on toys they already made. So they took figures they already had and they made variants of them to make this intermediate wave. Okay, I don't really care about any of that. All I care about is that it's another series of monster figures. And here it is. And so what was it, to fill European orders or whatever, I don't care. It's the next wave of monster figures. You can call it the European wave, the intermediate wave, or wave 5, or whatever you want to call it. I'll just call it more monster toys. So here's the next one. Now he's kind of, he's sort of the star of the show. This wacky Dracula. He is whacked out. Let me just take a moment to take in this extraordinary figure. I need to have a moment here to appreciate this. He's like a Euro trash Dracula. The previous Draculas were Bela Lugosi Draculas. This one is a generic Dracula, and he's like, I don't know, Anne Rice, What We Do in the Shadows. Golly gee, I mean, the Fearless Vampire Killers. He's like a Dracula from a skit, like a comedy skit, you know, on Saturday Night Live or something, if they had a vampire. He's got this kind of disco shirt, this ruffled shirt, and this purple lined cape, and I can't see what's under the cape. I'm guessing it's pretty similar to what, like the pants, you know, it's black pants, probably what the Lugosi Dracula had. The head, I'm hearing that the head is the same one they used on the Star Trek Romulan. There is a Star Trek Romulan figure that the new Mego put out, and I'm hearing that they reused the head sculpt for this Dracula, and I don't know for sure that that's true. That's what I'm hearing, you know, through the grapevine, the toy world. That's what people are saying, but I don't have a Romulan to compare them side by side and judge for myself. But it wouldn't surprise me that if this line is supposed to be variants, reusing previous figures, then yeah, that would make sense. They wouldn't do a new sculpt for Dracula. And you'll notice that his mustache and his goatee and his fangs are all painted on, so none of that is sculpted on, I don't think. Maybe his goatee is. His goatee might be sculpted on. But his mustache definitely is not, and his fangs are not. His fangs are just painted on. He is a really weird toy. And then this artwork. This is some unusual artwork for this line. It all has a similar style. It's probably all done by the same artist. But that's a very different kind of take on Dracula. It's more like, I don't know, like something from a comic book perhaps. And of course you can't see his face because it's supposed to be an unlicensed Dracula. You know, it's not Bela Lugosi, it's not Universal Studios. Here's the back of the Dracula card. Now that is an interesting take. I like that. That is weird. Just having the bottom of Dracula's face, again, avoiding copyright concerns, but still really getting across that it's Dracula. And I'm wondering who that is. I think, I'm sure that this photo was taken for this toy. I don't think this is from a movie. I think they took this photo for the toy. It's not from a movie. It's obviously not. I don't know who this would be. I don't recognize it. It's definitely not Christopher Lee. You know, It's not Barnabas Collins. It's not Jonathan Frid. I'm sure of that. I think I would know Jonathan Frid's pinky if you if you took a picture of his pinky. I'd say that's Jonathan Frid's pinky. I'm a pretty big fan of Jonathan Frid. So in Dark Shadows, that's not who this is. So I think they just took this picture for the card art. Well, it's pretty cool. So this was kind of the toy I was most curious to see, this Dracula, to see how they were going to handle this. And it doesn't disappoint. It's a wacky sort of a toy. And it's interesting how they put this bat behind his head. It's not a toy bat, it's on the artwork for the card. There's a bat behind him. And that makes it look like his collar is sticking out when it's really not. So that's interesting, sort of tricky way to enhance the display value of the toy. And this is Dracula glowing in the dark. He's very scary. Somehow I feel like this toy would glow in the dark even if it wasn't made of glow-in-the-dark plastic. It just has that personality. It has a glow-in-the-dark personality. Okay, so here is Frankenstein. When I first saw photos of this new variant, I thought it looked kind of silly. I thought it was kind of ridiculous. So it's Frankenstein without a shirt on? Shirtless Frankenstein? But now that I see it in person, I think it looks a lot better in person. For one thing, the head sculpt looks much better in this kind of plastic than in the previous glow plastic. The first edition, it was molded in glow-in-the-dark plastic. This one is not. The glow-in-the-dark plastic, it really obscures a lot of the detail. In this one, it looks much more serious. I thought that the previous version looked kind of silly. And this one has a more grim look. And part of that is, obviously it's got a lot of scars, a lot of stitches all over. So I mean, it's going to look more grim when it's covered in stitches. But I think the sculpt itself looks a little more hard-edged. It's more chiseled. The details stand out more, whereas it looked a little softer in the previous version. The pants are green, and he has a kind of combat look because of these green pants. His little stitches, or I guess they're staples around the sutures, they have a weird sort of look because it's almost like they're decals. I mean, they're not, but they're like printed on. They're not painted so much. I mean, it's almost like they're screen printed or something. It's unusual. The painting on the side of the card looks much better than the previous artwork that either of the previous versions used. There was a Target version which looked kind of, it was like a vanilla Frankenstein. It was green, wasn't glow-in-the-dark, but it just kind of had like a blah vanilla look. Then there was the glow-in-the-dark one, which was good because it had black clothes. I like Frankenstein in black costumes. They're always putting him in green jackets and green pants. But that glow plastic was, I don't know, glow plastic didn't look so good. And here he's got, I think, the best looking head of the three, but he's shirtless. But this artwork, I'm sure this has got to be the best artwork of the three versions. It's very universal without actually being universal. But it's actually kind of scary and creepy. I like that. And on the back, by the way, it has that Gray Morrow artwork. I don't know if it's the original artwork or just inspired by it, like a facsimile of it. But it's a copy of the artwork that was on the 1970s Mego Frankenstein. And that artwork was painted by Gray Morrow. Don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but it's probably close. Gray Morrow, who did a lot of movie posters. He was a well-known illustrator at the time. And I don't know if that's exactly the same or if that's a modern copy based on that painting. Even though this is the same sculpture for the head as in all three versions, I think, could be wrong, this one looks a lot more universal, a lot more serious looking. I think it's just the way it's painted, and it's the material it's made of. It's made of this, it looks like it's made of different plastic. It looks like maybe the plastic is, more rigid or less opaque. I'm not sure, but it looks different. It looks better. It's definitely the best looking Frankenstein head of the three. Okay, let's see. He's being a little stubborn. Here we go. All right. It's got something stuck to him there. Well, here we have the flocked Wolfman. He's actually called Werewolf, not a Wolfman. Exclusively Mego, Werewolf. He's different from the previous two Wolfmen because he has flocked vinyl or flocked plastic, whatever he's made of. It's flocked. Sounds like I'm cursing. I'm not. He's flocked. That means he's all fuzzy. I don't know exactly how the process of flocking is done, but I believe that they coat the plastic with an adhesive and then they apply tiny fibers. I don't know if they roll it around in the fibers or if it's air blown or how exactly they get the fibers on the plastic, but it makes it fuzzy. It gives it this fuzzy, furry surface. And yes, the entire body is flocked. You can't tell looking at the toy in the bubble, but I've seen pictures online of the naked figure and the whole body is flocked. I don't know how that affects the posability of the figure. Speaking as someone who has asthma, I think I would need to wear a respirator if I ever opened this bubble and wanted to take the figure out. I could see these little fibers getting everywhere, including inside my lungs. So he's the same sculpt as the previous two Wolfmen werewolves, only he's flocked, which makes him look completely different. I mean, it looks like a brand new toy. And here is the back. Actually a little boring compared to the last three we just looked at, particularly the Dracula, which was very dramatic. I guess, you know, it's much harder to do werewolf makeup than it is to do vampire makeup. With vampire makeup, all you have to do is paint the face and put some fangs, a little blood, and voila, you got put like a black, black sheet over your shoulders, and blah, you're a vampire. If you're only gonna show that much. With a werewolf, though, you have to have a snout and bigger fangs and hair. It's much more to do. So with this, they solved that problem by just having eyes. It's just werewolf eyes. And I don't even know if it's like a dog's eyes. They could just taken a picture of a dog's eyes. Who knows? And it looks like a street. What is this? Is this a street? Like going into the distance? It's like Lost Highway werewolf. It's the werewolf you meet on the Lost Highway. I'm sure you do meet a lot of werewolves on the Lost Highway. That's a good reason to never let yourself get on the Lost Highway, because This is waiting for you. Well, what do I think of this? I mean, he's cute. He's a cute little monster toy. Looks like they've simplified the shirt. I mean, I think it's a different color. I'm not sure, but he's got those green pants again. I wonder if it's the same pants as Frankenstein. Let's see here. No, it's not exactly similar, but it's not exactly the same green pants. Similar though. But they've simplified the shirt a little bit. I mean, I do like him. He's a cute werewolf, but he kind of looks like a novelty. He doesn't look like the flocking really obscures the sculpture, and maybe that's a good thing. I don't know, but the flocking definitely obscures the sculpture and softens it up. It makes it look like he's wearing mittens, which is kind of cute. He has kind of a teddy bear look. He looks like they used to have flocked, I think they were made of vinyl, flocked vinyl tchotchkes, little novelty knickknacks of like fuzzy bears and different little cartoony animals, and you just sit them on your shelf. You know, like your grandmother might have had a row of them on her shelf. Stuff like that. And Paddington Bear. My brother had some Paddington Bear toys, and those were the same kind of flocked plastic. And they were cute, but they were novelty items. And this, it doesn't look like a serious werewolf. You know, it doesn't look like a serious, scary werewolf. Even though this illustration down here, now that is a very serious werewolf. He means business. He's not a funny werewolf. He wants to kill you. That's an industrial strength werewolf. And again, it has that kind of comic book aesthetic, the way it's drawn. So I'm sure the same guy must have did all this artwork. It looks very similar. This is the previous version, and you see he's got artwork from the movie Face of the Screaming Werewolf. And he's very serious looking. It's a pretty serious werewolf. It's a pretty serious looking werewolf. And the back has artwork from the movie poster. And I like this. He's kind of balefully looking upward, and he's got a nice look to him. I like. He looks better than I think the first version, the Target version. They had like a striped card. I think that was the weakest of the three. This one looks a little better. Looks a little more serious. I think it's subtle, but it's the way I think the way they painted him is just a little better. And in this werewolf, I guess it's the same sculpt it's supposed to be, but he looks completely different. You can see him there. They look very different. I mean, they're the same sculpt. Everything I've read and heard, it tells me that they are the same sculpt. It's just that one is flocked and one is not. But you can see what the flocking does to that sculpt. It just obliterates it. The sculpt's gone. And this might be good or bad, depending on your assessment of the sculpt. I mean, you may prefer the flocked one. So I was talking about the sculpt. I like this version. I think the sculpt's pretty decent. I like that. I like that version. A friend of mine told me that he thought this sculpt was the same one used on the Diamond Select Wolfman, with additional hair sculpted over that. That it was this Mego sculpt was based on the Diamond Select Wolfman sculpt. It was a licensed Universal Wolfman figure, which I tried to find before I started taping this. I looked around, I couldn't find the box, or else I would have it here. So I don't know if that's true or not. I've never held them side by side to compare them. I wouldn't be surprised if it were true, because their heads are pointed upward in kind of an odd way. And that Diamond Select one did have that sort of upward tilt, like this one, like both of these have. And I didn't like the Diamond Select 8-inch Mego style Wolfman from a few years back. Everyone loved the Phantom of the Opera, and someday we'll do a show about that series. Everyone loved the Phantom. Everyone loved the Creature. People were generally positive about the Mutant and the Bride. I think they're pretty positive about the Bride. The Dracula was generic, but for a generic Dracula, I think people thought it was a good generic Dracula. Frankenstein was pretty weak, and the Wolfman was the weakest of all in that set. And the Frankenstein sculpt, the Mego Frankenstein sculpt that they're using for these new toys, all 3 versions so far, does seem to be based on that sculpt that the Diamond Select Frankenstein used. And though I didn't notice it, my friend tells me that he thinks this Wolfman sculpt also has DNA from that Diamond Select Wolfman sculpt. Because apparently some of the same people who are involved with that series are, one or more people from that series are also involved with this project. I don't know. I don't know all the behind the scenes personnel and everything that's going on here. But my final verdict, I think, is that I prefer this version. That's my favorite of the 3 so far. And I like it more than the Diamond Select version, the Universal licensed Wolfman. So I see this flocked one as just kind of a cute novelty. I mean, it's not bad, but it is what it is. I'm just not a fan of the flocked look. Nice experiment. I got to hand it to him for trying something new, something different. I've never seen a flocked Wolfman figure before. That's a first. I've never seen a furry Wolfman 8-inch figure before. I'm not sure if I've ever seen any kind of furry Wolfman articulated toy before. So it's kind of cool that they tried it. It's a good experiment. It's different. I like it. But it's not my favorite. I don't know that anyone needs to try this again. Now that it's been tried, the results are in, I don't know that we need to repeat this experiment. Okay, here's the last one. Now, I don't know about this. This is Freddy Krueger. Ta-da! Here's his back. So, well, let's compare this to the previous one, because I don't know if there's any difference between this Freddy Krueger and the one that came out in the previous wave, because the last Mego horror wave also had a Freddy Krueger, and it sure looks like the same figure. So I thought that might be the case, so I set him aside along with the werewolf to take a look at him. Okay, here is the previous Freddy Krueger. Let me just eyeball this. Huh. Uh-huh. Well, I really don't see a difference. I mean, you could say that the sweater is shorter. Now I'm confused which is which. This is the one from this series. This is the one from the previous series. So if I get them mixed up, I won't know which is which. So the new one looks like the sweater is shorter and a little darker maybe, but you know, that could just be if you plucked any two off the assembly line, maybe sweaters would be shorter, darker, lighter, whatever, I don't know. The back is different. The artwork on the back is different. Not remarkably, but it's different. Okay, so here are the two Freddys from these two waves. And thank goodness this Freddy has a piece of fuzz on his sweater, else I'd never tell them apart. I know that the fuzz one is the earlier one. So you can see that the front of the cards look virtually identical. I don't know if there is a difference in the front of the card. I don't think there is. The front of the cards are pretty much identical. The figures themselves, I don't see a difference. The only thing I can see is that the sweater looks like maybe the new one is made of darker fabric and maybe shorter. I know the stripes are in a different place, like, you know, the green stripe is on his neck in this one, and it's down to his chest in this one, but that could just be the way the different sweaters come off the assembly line. That might not be a planned thing. I mean, you could, as far as I know, you could line up 10 of these and all 10 sweaters might look different. I don't know. That's not a big variation. But the head looks the same to me. The glove looks the same. Oh, actually, I take that back. This one has green paint on the glove, and this one is all brown. So there is a difference. Big difference, but so this one, there's some green details on the glove, and this one, the glove is all brown. This is the one with the brown glove, and that's the one with the green and brown glove. Let's turn it around. So you can see that there's definitely a difference in the card back, but it's not aesthetically, it's not a huge difference. It's the same art, it's just the layout's a little different. On the previous one, the photo takes up the entire back from edge to edge, and this one, it's isolated in a box, and it's blown up a little more. But it's the same photo. Same photo. And looks like the same information. Let's see here. So the new one has Freddy Krueger's name on it, and the previous one just says A Nightmare on Elm Street. Not a big difference. So there is something to differentiate them. They're not exactly the same. The card backs are different, and the glove, there's a little different paint application from one glove to the other. And I'd have to see more of them to decide whether the sweater is a deliberate planned variant, or if it's just the way that these two sweaters came off the assembly line. And on the Stinker just walked by. There he is. He's going upstairs. Wow. I don't know if you could hear him. Okay, well. So anyway, the bubbles appear to be the same. He's got his hat. Same black hat. So the reason that it's even important for me at the moment to think about whether Stinker's howling back there. I don't think you can hear it. It's too faint now. So the reason I'm wondering about whether Stinker's really going. Meow, meow. I gotta wrap this up so I can go feed Stinker. The reason I'm kind of concerned about whether there's any significant difference between these Freddys is because there's another wave of Mego monster figures coming out. And in this wave, there's another Freddy. So this wave that's going to come out, I think it's in September. It's got the Headless Horseman, and that ought to be cool. An Egyptian mummy. We'll see what that's like. And Pennywise from It, but it's the Tim Curry Pennywise, the good one. And let's see, Headless Horseman, Mummy, Pennywise, and the Phantom of the Opera. And I don't know if it's going to be a Lon Chaney Phantom of the Opera or not. Since they seem to have a relationship with Chaney Enterprises, one would think that they would use the Chaney Phantom, but then there might be an issue with Universal Studios. I don't know. We'll see. So you've got those 4 new ones: Pennywise, Phantom, Headless Horseman, Egyptian Mummy. But there's also a Freddy in the assortment. And I've noticed some retailers are offering just the 4 without Freddy, and some are selling the whole set with Freddy. So I'm wondering, which should I get? If I order the set with the Freddy, then I'll have 3 Freddys, and I'm not exactly a big Freddy Krueger fan. That doesn't really thrill me. On the other hand, if I say, enough of the Freddys, and order just the 4, just my luck, this 3rd Freddy will have some significant difference from the other 2. I don't know. So I feel like I ought to just bite the bullet and go ahead and order all of them and just have 3 Freddys. I'll just turn into a big Freddy Krueger fan all of a sudden with 3 Freddy figures. Now I thought that Mego had lost the Freddy Krueger license. I was reading that after June they couldn't make any more Freddy Krueger figures, but I guess they got that straightened out. But I don't know why they're just doubling down on Freddy Krueger. Maybe he sells really well, I guess. I don't know. Do they have any other licenses? I mean, how did they get Freddy? If they got Freddy, why can't they get, I don't know who owns who, but why can't they get Jason? Or I know Michael Myers is always difficult to get, and I think someone else, NECA, maybe has the 8-inch license for Michael Myers right now, so maybe they can't get that. Maybe they could do a 14-inch one. I don't know. Speaking of 14 inches, in this next wave, there's going to be a 14-inch Bela Lugosi Dracula. Now that ought to be cool. I'm looking forward to that. And a 14-inch Frankenstein, which will be it won't be Universal, and it won't be a blown-up version of the 8-inch one. It's going to be a brand new sculpt. So that's exciting. I really want to see that. I mean, could be stupid, could be awesome. I don't know. But I've always wanted to see large format posable monster figures. Yeah, I know we had the 12-inch Hasbro and Sideshow and some other things, but I've really wanted to see really tall, articulated classic monsters, and no one's ever done that before. So this is good. We'll have 14-inch tall Dracula and Frankenstein figures. And if those do well, I don't know, maybe we'll do a 14-inch werewolf and a 14-inch mummy. That'd be cool. Well, anyway, I think we've covered this current lineup pretty well. I don't know if this way with the flocked werewolf, I don't know if that is still, I don't know if this wave with the flocked werewolf is still available to order, because I checked, I've heard that it is, but then I checked some sites and they were sold out. It said pre-order sold out, or sold out at pre-order, or something like that. So I don't know if you can still order these. I'm sure they're, of course they're going to be available, if nothing else, from, third-party sources and secondhand. But I don't know if you can get them direct from a retailer who gets them direct from Mego. I'm not sure if that's still an option or not. Google and find out. Would I recommend these? I don't recommend or not recommend anything. Buy whatever you want. I don't care. If you like them, buy them. If you don't, don't. Because what I like, you may not like. What you like, I probably don't like. So you've seen them. You already know whether you want these or not. I think they're cute. I think they kind of remind me of off-brand toys from the 70s. Even though they're Mego, weirdly and unintentionally, they've captured a kind of off-brand knockoff aesthetic, like Lincoln and Tomland, that I appreciate from the 70s. I don't think that's what they were going for, but that's kind of what I see in these, especially that crazy Dracula and that oddball flocked wolfman, shirtless Frankenstein. That's pretty weird. It's some weird stuff. So I like that off-kilter quality more than if they were really on model and very realistic and matched the Universal style guide or whatever. That I wouldn't like them as much then. Although I really like the Bela Lugosi Dracula, which is not part of this line, this wave, which is very realistic and serious looking. And I like Nosferatu, which is also pretty on model and realistic. So I'm inconsistent. I'm playing both sides here. I don't know. Freddy, if I were a fan of Freddy, I would love this figure, but I'm just not that into Freddy. But it's a great Freddy figure. If you like Freddy, there's your toy. That's it for this episode. Thank you for watching. In the weeks to come, we'll have a special field trip episode, and when that next wave of Megos comes out, we'll have an unboxing episode for those. And then late summer, early fall, we'll start the second season of Basement of Horror. Thanks a lot. Hope to see you soon. And remember, he who dies with the most toys is dead.